I'm Tim.
And I'm Steven.
And we're the Lowballers.
Welcome back. It's been a little bit of a time.
Yes.
A week or two.
As the old saying goes, life happens. We got taken away from this for a little bit. I started a business, ran that for a while, and so now it's a little bit easier to run, so more time to shoot videos for you guys.
There we go. And football season's starting back up. We kind of let you guys hang.
Perfect timing.
We figured we'd make you guys some money this year.
Fantasy draft season is upon us.
It is.
That's the big, if you start looking for sports. Obviously, baseball season's going on, but it's the dog days, so not much to talk about. Trade deadline's already passed.
My Cubs got rid of everybody. Everybody. But they all the players they got rid of have looked really good for other teams. How about Rizzo knocking home like 3 homers this week? That's good for him.
And since Steven picked up his drink, I'll just tell you today we're drinking these canned vodka soda. It's High Noon is the brand. Very good, refreshing drinks, only 100 calories, but they're not a sponsor yet. But they're very good. I recommend them. They're a little bit on the pricier side. I think it's $10 for a 4-pack, so not cheap, but they are very good.
I like it. It's not too bad. Doing the black cherry.
So what position group do you want to talk about first? You want to go running back since they get drafted first?
Oh yeah, we got to go running backs.
So the thing I have a little bit different theory. I think when it comes to drafting a running back, especially as I rank them, because I have to imagine if I'm going to rank a running back number 1, that means if I had the first pick, that's who I would take, and that mentality for me changes if I have the first pick in an 8 or a 10 or a 12 team draft. It could be a different running back I take at 1. Because I just feel like in a 12-team league, if whoever I take at 1 has to be there. I can't have a bust because I'm not picking again until 24. So if it's an 8 or 10-team league, I might get a little riskier if a guy has a higher upside. But at 1 in a 12-team league, I got to have a guy who I know is going to put up points. Who do you have at 5?
At 5 in a PPR league?
Yes.
I'm going to go with Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he's looking chiseled this year. He kind of had a little bit of a down year last year, but he still caught a lot of balls. I think with Dak Prescott spreading the ball around, and he's a check down master. So I think he'll catch a lot of snags, and the guy's always going to get in the end zone.
Okay, we did not talk about this before. I have the exact same thing. So, yeah. And I'm gonna take some suspense out of my picks too. I'll tell you who I didn't pick. My honorable mention, so to speak. A couple of guys who I think will be in most people's top 5. I didn't put Dalvin Cook or Aaron Jones in my top 5.
Wow.
I love both of them. Trust me, I would not hate to have a fantasy team with either one of those guys on there. But I just like 4 other guys better.
Oh yeah, well I have both of them in mind.
Okay.
So
who do you have it for?
I'm calling me a homer. I'm going David Montgomery. Tariq Cohen, he's still hampered with an injury. So David Montgomery was the best running back the last 5 weeks last year. And their offensive line is getting more solid with the drafted Chapman Jenkins. So I'm going David Montgomery on it. And I feel like when you got a rookie QB who's going to be coming in, he's going to be doing a lot of checkdowns to him.
Yeah, and without Mitch Trubisky on the roster, you guys might actually score some touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
I went safe here. Well, no, I didn't. Saquon Barkley, obviously he's going to be higher on some people's list. I just, somebody coming off a season-ending injury, I don't know if he's going to miss some games. If I were to find out between now and my draft for sure he's going to be there for the first game, I might move him up a little bit. But for now, with the information I have, I'm putting him at 4.
That's good.
So moving into the top 3, who do you have at your number 3?
I got Dalvin Cook. I feel like he's poised for another great year. He's an absolute stud. They have a good quarterback, but he isn't great. Everyone knows Kirk Cousins can't rely on him. So if they're going to rely on anything, it's going to be handing that ball off.
If I had him outside of my top 5, just because I'm a little nervous with his injury history. If he's healthy, he's your solid top 5 running back for sure. At my number 3, I went with Derrick Henry. Just a good insurance policy to have on your team. He's going to put up yards every week. The ball's going through him. There is maybe a little bit of a concern. They've added Julio Jones now, so they maybe go to the air a little bit more. But Derrick Henry has just put up very consistent numbers. Has been high up there in yards every year. So that's why I have him at number 3.
That's a solid pick. You can't go wrong with Derrick Henry.
And then going into our top 2, my number 2 is Alvin Kamara. Just a guy that I had the 5th pick in the draft last year, and I had a chance to get him. And instead, I bet on the upside. I thought Michael Thomas was going to be the number 1 receiver in the league, and you can imagine where I placed last year. He didn't even play very much. So But I do love Alvin Kamara. I expect big things from him this year. Michael Thomas is going to miss some more time. I think the ball is just going to be in Kamara's hands a lot, especially with the new quarterback situation they're going to have. So, Alvin Kamara, my number 2.
All right.
So, who do you have at your number 2?
I got Alvin Kamara, my number 2 also. He had 1,600 yards all together last year. And I'll tell you right now, 900 of them were receiving. So he's not your typical running back, but as long as he's getting the ball thrown to him, he's going to get his points, especially in the PPR league. He always gets in the end zone somehow. He had 16 touchdowns last year, and I feel like as long as they have a real true quarterback back there and they're not running the Lamar Jackson offense, that he's going to get his touches no matter what.
So that's, just simple quick math. We did 1,600 yards and 16 touchdowns. You're at 16 fantasy points per week before you even start counting receptions. So that's production. You can live with that. So
that's counting.
To the surprise of absolutely nobody, I'll probably just go ahead and blindly reveal your number 1 as well as mine. Mine's Christian McCaffrey.
All right.
Is that not who you have?
That is not who I have.
Wow.
You want to see my craziness? I love Christian McCaffrey off because I'm afraid about his injury. His injury has me worried. I don't know how Sam Darnold's going to be, so I left him out of my top 5. I'm probably the only person. I went with the workhorse. I took Derrick Henry.
Okay.
Number 1 overall. That dude is going to go for another 2,000 yards. He's going to be the first running back to do it. Mark my words. Put it down right now. That dude gets the ball 24/7, and you can't put 8 in the box when you got Julio Jones on the outside. So they're just going to be able to shove it down people's throat every game.
And that goes with my theory that I talked about earlier. If you have the number 1 pick, you have to have a guy that you know is going to put up numbers, and I think Derrick Henry is that guy. I just love the upside of McCaffrey too much to pass up on him.
100%. But injuries worry me. I'm that guy. That's why Saquon's not in there, and that's why Christian McCaffrey's not in there, because I'm terrified of injuries.
Okay. All right, so let's move on. I'll just ask it to you this way: does your top 5 change any for a non-PPR league?
No, not really. Mine kind of stay the same. Except I move Nick Chubb up into my top 5, and I probably take Alvin Kamara down to 5 or 6. So I'm able to replace Nick Chubb and Alvin Kamara in there.
Yeah. So yeah, Kamara goes from 2 to 5 for me in non-PPR. McCaffrey goes from 1 to 2, and then my number 1 becomes the same as yours, which is Derrick Henry goes up to number 1 in non-PPR. Nick Chubb, same thing. I like him a lot better in a non-PPR. And I actually moved Dalvin Cook into my top 5. I had him all the way up to number 3 in a non-PPR league. So I just think he'll have the ball in his hands a lot for Minnesota. Their recipe for winning hasn't changed.
Do you have a surprise running back at all this year? To anyone on your list that's...
I don't.
I'm going to give you guys my
surprise.
Miles Gaskins.
Okay.
Listen to that name. Miami's running back.
Yeah.
He was a super stud last year that got injured repeatedly. If he can stay healthy and Tua keeps doing what he's doing, which is nothing, that dude's going to have a ton of yards this year, along with touchdowns. He had 972 yards in 9 games last year.
Yeah.
That's over 100 yards a game.
Yeah. I actually like him even if Tua is healthy. His usage might go down, but then there's more touchdowns to go around. So either way, you're fine, I think, with him. I love him as a running back. All right, we'll just combine 2 positions in this video, maybe even 3. Let's go to quarterbacks. I think the quarterbacks would be a short position to talk about.
You want to start at the top? Because I'm sure we both have the same number 1.
Okay, so we'll start at number 2.
Patrick Mahomes is the number 1.
Don't overthink this, guys. Number 1 is Patrick Mahomes. So who do you have at number 2?
I went Aaron Rodgers. I think he has a chip on his shoulder. He had a chip on his shoulder last year, and we saw what he did. So I think he's just bringing it back. I think the whole, popping up the Last Dance photo with him and Adams is just like feeding the need, man. He's ready to show every team out there, like, you want me. I'm ready to be the next Brady, go to another team, win a championship, and you can even bring my receiver with me.
There's not a bad theory. A pissed off Aaron Rodgers is the only thing better than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
My number 2, Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills. He has Stephon Diggs to throw to. He's got a lot of weapons, and I just, he's just going to keep getting better. And he wasn't not good already. So
big boy has wheels.
Yeah.
He has some wheels on him. I actually got Josh Allen as my 3.
Okay.
So I completely agree with you. He threw for 37 touchdowns last year, and he ran in 8. So he gets in that end zone. That's all you can ask for. Is someone that always consistently gets in. Also, the AFC East doesn't look that solid. Bill Belichick is going to be breaking in Cam Newton or a new quarterback or doing whatever.
Yep.
Miami always has a good defense, but they don't have the offense to match. And then the Jets are an easy, 7 touchdowns.
No, I love the Josh Allen play. My number 3, I went pure upside on this one. Kyler Murray. Just the floor on him is a little low, I'll admit that, but the ceiling there is just through the roof. I mean, anytime you have his kind of athleticism and DeAndre Hopkins and his arm strength, if things break his way, I mean, you have the potential to have a tremendous season. I thought he had a good season last year, and I think the potential is there for him to continue to get better. I think his coach is the only thing holding him back.
Yeah.
But we'll see. In spite of Cliff Kingsbury's legendary draft day video or on the Zoom call draft, his wins on the field haven't translated as nicely. So
that's a tough division too. It's a really tough division.
It really is. So I'll go down to my number 4. I think this will be the real surprise as far as having a top 5. Justin Herbert.
All right.
I think Herbert is going to. He's already a name in the NFL, and I think after this season, you're going to see him as one of the upper tier names. In that, I think you do have outside of the fantasy perspective, as that top tier quarterbacks, you have the Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, but you get past that. That's where you have the Josh Allens of the world, and I think that's where you're going to find Justin Herbert right there this year, right up there with Josh Allen. I think he's going to do that well.
I think Justin Herbert's an absolute stud, but I'm going to go with Brady there.
Yeah.
And since you actually had him one spot above, last year Brady was on fire and won the Super Bowl. He had 40 touchdowns, 4,600 yards. I mean, Brady's Brady, and that dude has so many weapons at receiver and tight end, and they got Leonard Fournette running the ball and Ronald Jones running the ball, and it's just there's too many weapons on that offense, and they're bringing back the entire line, which is going to be better because they have a rookie on the line, carving his left side, getting tossed around by Khalil Mack. It's just everything's perfect for him, and quarterbacks always go up in the second year of Bruce Arians' offense. So, if you're going to go for 40 touchdowns and 4,000 yards, I can only go up from there, right?
Yep. And I had him as my number 5, so just one spot behind where you have him. For all the same reasons you said, the embarrassment of riches he has as weapons. This was a tough pick for me, that number 5 spot, because now you're getting in the spot where who are you going to leave out of your top 5? And you have Dak Prescott still there, Lamar Jackson is still there,
Ryan Tannehill with his new receiver.
So yeah, what are you going to do? But yeah, it's the GOAT, man. What are you going to do? The TB12 method lives on another day.
And this year he has 2 MCLs.
Wow. Always better than one. I had to twist your can around so we can get our sponsorships.
Hey, right there. I do.
Yeah, give us a call. Okay.
Somewhere. You want my 5th pick?
Yeah.
I got a solid one, man. And it's one that I don't feel like everyone's looking at. It's Matthew Stafford for the Rams.
Okay.
The dude has a huge arm, and now he has 2 receivers and an offense coach behind him. I love his receivers. Robert Woods and the white guy.
Cooper Kupp.
There we go. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, love them both. They're super stud receivers. They just lost their running back, so they're going to have to pass a little bit more. Yeah. And he's thrown for 4,000 yards every year in Detroit. How are you not going to do that in sunny LA?
And if they have to punt, don't worry, the defense will get you the ball right back.
Oh, they're going to light it up.
So, yeah, no, that's a great pick. And it's a little bit nerve-wracking for me to pick a guy who's on a new team. I haven't seen him do it. But that's how you win fantasy, guys. You have to see things that haven't already been seen. If it's already been seen, then everybody's already thinking that way. So, and the good thing about that is when you see things like that, if you have Stafford in your top 5, then that makes him maybe a 7th or 8th round pick, and you can get him in the 10th. I'm saying 7th or 8th round value, I should say, but you can get him in the 10th round. So that's how you start winning your fantasy. That's why, you start looking at guys like Travis Kelce, who's been a guy that's helped me win my league many years, because I've always gotten, the last few years, Travis Kelce in the 2nd round has been a mainstay for me. Unfortunately, I think the jig is up, and in the 2nd round, you will be looking at a draft board that does no longer include Travis Kelce.
He gives you that chance for that 3rd receiver in your fantasy team.
So, but it's one of those things. It was good while it lasted.
Get Darren Williams, that Oakland tight end. He's pretty solid.
So I think that, running backs and quarterbacks, there's some variation. I think wide receiver, though, that's where you're going to get the most difference of opinion as far as who's in the top 5. And we'll stick with the start at the top, go down format. I think that maybe provides a little bit more drama because, if a guy's number 1, for most people, he's going to be in the top 5 for almost everybody. Yeah. My number 1 correlates with one of your quarterbacks, Devontae Adams. I think he's a top 3 receiver in the league and a top 1 fantasy receiver in the league. You just
100%.
He's a top 3 receiver with a top 1 or 2 quarterback, top 3 quarterback at the very least. He's just the opportunities all over the place, and he is the go-to guy.
I completely agree. Devontae Adams is my number 1. He's been great year in and year out, and this year he's going to be showing off for people because his contract's up. So it's a contract year. I love receivers in contract years because they love to get that money.
My second receiver, again, I feel like I don't have a lot of surprises. Maybe the last receiver I have on my list is a surprise. But Tyreek Hill, same thing, huge weapon, huge talent, tremendous quarterback throwing to him. And in his case, it's a little bit different because in Devontae Adams' case, he's the only weapon. In Tyreek Hill's case, there's lots of weapons. But in some ways, because Kansas City spreads it out and uses their weapons so much, I think that actually ends up working in Hill's favor a little bit.
I agree, but I don't have him there. I have DeAndre Hopkins at number 2. He is that team's number 1, and he is the number 1 red zone threat. He just has that big body, and he's always open. Always open. I don't care if there's 2 people on him. He's always open.
That's one of those, and all else fails, so, Hopkins out there somewhere.
All right, don't put it up. We all saw the play last year.
So going down to my number 3, it's the same recipe that we've been talking about. I love the receiver. I love his talent. I love his quarterback, Stephon Diggs. So that's what I have at number 3, Stephon Diggs.
I got Tyreek Hill at 3 for all the reasons he just said a little bit ago. The dude's an absolute cheetah, and he burns everybody. He's always there for the big play. He's going to get a 40-yard catch on you at least once a game.
Yeah. I had the privilege, actually, of seeing Tyreek Hill play live against Texas Tech, and if you've seen what he's done in NFL defenses, you can only imagine what he did against Texas Tech.
I saw his kick return live against OU.
Yeah. I saw that on TV. I wish I hadn't seen it, but I did see it. My number 4 is now we're going to start to have some, what we've already started to have. I have DeAndre Hopkins number 4. If this was a list of most talented receivers, I'd have him 1 or 2. I just think that the Cardinals have a little bit of trouble sometimes putting up points. I think there's going to be boom or bust weeks with him. You might get 25 points out of him one week and then almost nothing the next. It's just that I think as teams started to focus on Hopkins last year, as you started to see the maturation of Kyler Murray, he started to find Kirk a little bit, started to find some other receivers. So I think that's going to work against Hopkins a little bit from a fantasy standpoint. But come contract time, that won't make any difference. He's going to be well paid.
Yeah, 100%. He's always going to be well paid. I'm going to go with Allen Robinson, Homer pick.
Yeah.
But I've watched that dude put up 1,000 yards receiving with Mitch Trubisky. I've seen him do it with Chase Daniels. I've seen him do it with Nick Foles. I've seen him do it with every trash quarterback they've had. And Andy Dalton is better than any quarterback I've listed. And I only hope he plays 3 games. Because we're going to put Justin Fields in there, and that dude's going to make plays. He has an arm, and A-Rob has the hops. So I feel like Allen Robinson is going to have a huge year. The Bears are going to resign him, so he has a huge chip on his shoulder. And he's going to shell out and be like, you guys know how to pay me this year. Like I said, love contract receivers.
Pay that man his money. I should have Allen Robinson in my top 5, if for no other reason, just because I get burned by him seemingly every year when I play against him. If you ever are playing against me in fantasy, don't overthink it. Put Allen Robinson in your lineup and watch him score 40 points. So, my number 5 is also a surprise pick, and it's Justin Jefferson. This is definitely a buy low pick kind of pick. I don't think anybody else has him in the top 5. I just think the guy is immensely talented. I think that it's going to be one of those where most people have him closer to 8 or 9, maybe even lower on their draft board, so you can get great value for him. The only thing holding him down, I think, at this point is the team he plays for.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
That's the only thing holding him down.
A couple guys I want to talk about that neither one of us had in our top 5. I think they're top 5 caliber receivers. I just couldn't.
I got Mike Evans as my number 5.
Okay.
I got Mike Evans as my number 5 before you said.
I gotta keep track of who's number 5 and who hasn't.
I didn't know he was gonna throw it out there real quick. Mike Evans is my number 5. You got Tom Brady throwing it up to him. Dude's just a stud week in and week out. He took a pay cut this year. There's no one that wants to be on that team more than him. Chris Godwin's on the other side. He's going to be getting all the attention. Mike Evans is just too big of a red zone threat to not put up a ton of fantasy points. But who's your
he was actually he won the league for me one year. He was my trade deadline blockbuster deal. I got Mike Evans and it carried the day for me.
There you go.
So, the people that I knew, I had a feeling that they'd get left off of both of our lists. So I wrote them down because I did want to talk about them, which is Calvin Ridley and DK Metcalf. I think DK Metcalf is, the book on him is out there. He's huge.
He looked great.
Freakishly athletic. His quarterback's good.
Him running out Buda Baker was like favorite play last year.
And so he has all the skills and tools you could need to be a number one fantasy receiver. I just don't think it's going to happen. And Calvin Ridley, I have the same problem with him I have with Justin Jefferson. Is I think the team's going to hold him back a little bit, and he doesn't have that great year under his belt that Justin Jefferson has.
I love that Calvin Ridley finally is the number one. Julio Jones is out. I can't agree with you more. I think Calvin Ridley's going to have a great year this year.
And if you are in a keeper league, I do want to say this. This is just a down the road thing. I just think that what the fuck? I forgot his name.
Which one?
The receiver for the Bengals.
Oh, Williams, the guy from LSU.
Yeah. I totally spaced.
Jamal Williams?
Chase something.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. Okay. So, one last thing I want to talk about before we move on, we're going to close this video actually, is if you're in a keeper league, we haven't really talked about keeper strategies versus 1 year strategies. We like to keep 1 year generic format to our films, but Jamar Chase is a tremendous talent. I think he's been a bit forgotten about because he didn't play last year. I saw him play live against my Sooners, and that was a bad day for us. I saw Justin Jefferson play live also that same day. This guy can flat out play.
Reunited and it feels so good.
Yeah.
Burrow can stay healthy. They're going to have an amazing combo.
Yeah, Justin. And I watched Justin Burrow warm up, and you could have taken everybody's jersey off and just mixed all the players up on the field so I didn't even know who was on which team. You can tell which one Joe Burrow was. The guy has a cannon for an arm. The ball pops out on a quick release. The familiarity with Jamar Chase, I just love this kid. I think he's going to put up huge numbers. If you've forgotten about him, Google his last year at LSU. He averaged about, I think, 21 yards a catch and dadgum near 2,000 yards receiving. The guy can flat out play.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's a monster.
And that was in, just the lowly old little SEC. So, and that's another video coming up that very soon we'll have our thoughts. Number one on OU moving to the SEC. I think a great video would be to do the road trips we're most and least looking forward to with our new SEC.
There's going to be some fun stadiums and
some not so fun ones. So we'll have some thoughts on that. Maybe we'll gain some supporters and hurt some feelings on that.
100%.
So, all right. If you want to win your fantasy league, ignore everything Steven just said and take all my guys.
Hey, I've won my league. I've won it.
So until next time, we're the Low Ballers. Cheers.
Cheers.